Welcome to Outkick the Show. Is this thing still on? Does it still work? Long holiday break. I hope all of you are having fantastic Tuesdays. I haven't slept more than a couple of hours. I'm a little bit late on the show today, but we've got a lot to discuss since the last time we were on here. We're back. We'll be on pretty much every day now, weekdays, 3 o'clock Eastern. I promise I won't leave you again for some time to come. But so much to get to. I know, it's been a while. I got to remind all of you, Outkick the Show, presented by Oddshark. Go to Oddshark for all of your gambling and informational related needs. And, oh, by the way, also, it's a new year, 2018, and you may need to save some money. And if you need to save some money at the start of 2018, the smartest thing you can do for most people is get a new mortgage. Because the mortgage is a huge percentage of your overall disposable income, and you need to have the lowest rate with the best operator in the business, and that's my guy Ryan Kelly at thehomeloanexpert.com. Contact him today, and he will hook you up with a spectacular mortgage. And he can help you skip several mortgage payments, right? Help you skip several mortgage payments, get back on your feet financially if you spent more at the end of the year, if you got a big tax note due, and by February or March, you'll be ready to roll once more. thehomeloanexpert.com. All right, so much to get to, but we began where I told you we'd be. Before I left, I said, guess what? It's going to be an all SEC title game. And all the haters out there, all the haters lined up full of vim and vigor and vitriol about how much the SEC sucked and how the SEC wasn't going to win and how because the SEC, Kentucky lost to Northwestern and Texas A&M lost to Wake Forest, that somehow it was going to impact what happened when the real deal got done, when the playoffs got here. And then guess what happened? The SEC took out the big helicopter dick and threw it right into the Mercedes-Benz Georgia Dome, where it's an all-SEC affair. We got the Georgia Bulldogs going up against the Alabama Crimson Tide. Several statistical notes worth hitting here. You want some factoids to drive all your Big Ten brethren insane? Here's one for you. The SEC is now guaranteed to win 9 out of the last 12 national titles. 2 of the 3 they lost. Think about this. Touchdown by Florida State with 15 seconds left. Score by Clemson with 1 second left. We are 2 under 15-second touchdowns away from the SEC having won 11 out of the last 12 national championships. And, oh, by the way, if Lane Kiffin had decided to run the football against Ohio State, we might actually be 12-4-12. For all the Big Ten people out there, all the Big Ten people who are like, hey, our conference is better than yours now. We just beat the crap out of Kentucky. By beat the crap out of, I mean, we managed to avoid a 2-point conversion from Kentucky to go 0-2 against the SEC, even though all the SEC teams were playing up and even though all of our teams were playing down due to the fact that the Big Ten didn't have anybody in the playoff. I'd like to point this little fact out. In the past 40 years, the SEC has won 16.5 national championships. Those 16.5 national championships have been won by 6 different SEC schools. The Big Ten has won 2.5 national championships in the past 40 years, and they've been won 2 of them, 1 each by Ohio State, and Michigan has 1/2 of a national championship in 1997. You say, how does a team have half of a national championship? Well, it's not undisputed. Almost all of the SEC's titles are undisputed in the BCS era because that's how they're created, whereas Michigan split with Nebraska, and Nebraska would have been favored over Michigan if they had played one more game, which means Michigan probably wouldn't have even won a half of a national championship. That means the last 40 years, only 2 Big Ten schools have won national championships, while 6 SEC schools have won, and if you just want to focus on the last 20 years, if Georgia beats Alabama, and I think Georgia will beat Alabama, that would mean that 6 SEC schools in the last 20 years have won national championships, nearly half of the conference. Worth contemplating and keeping in mind. That, my friends, ain't too hard to comprehend. Okay, a couple of other things. Nick Saban, now 15-3 in national title games, 5-1, SEC title games, 7-1, and overall playoff games, I believe he's 3-1. All of that adds up. Nick Saban, the most dominant big game coach in the history of college football. Now, I want to get into some of the individual outcomes in the games themselves. First of all, props to the committee. Anybody out there who wants to argue that Alabama did not belong in the college football playoff committee is an imbecile. Alabama dominated, throttled, destroyed everything that Clemson could throw at them. I think what you saw was Clemson was a one-man program, and that man's name was Deshaun Watson. Because once he was gone, this Clemson offense had absolutely nothing to show against Alabama. They got absolutely throttled. The committee got it right. I'm not even sure this game was as close as 24-6. I am, however, if I'm an Alabama fan, a little bit nervous about Jalen Hurts. He has not progressed beyond athlete playing quarterback. He still is just an athlete playing quarterback. Doesn't mean he can't run for a lot of yards. Doesn't mean that he can't throw screen passes. But do you feel confident that Jalen Hurts right now on 3rd and 8 is a better quarterback this year than he was last year? I don't think so. I don't think he is actually that good. And that's why I'm picking Georgia, the Bulldogs. You go, Harry, you dogs, you, to pull off the upset. They're 4.5-point underdogs. I am going with Georgia in this game, and I'm also taking the under. I think Georgia is going to win outright against Alabama. Jake Fromm is better. I think ultimately it comes down to the difference between the quarterbacks. These are two very similar teams, mirror images of each other, and that is why I am going with Georgia to win this game. Now, not a lot of surprise out of the Sugar Bowl, the Rose Bowl. The Rose Bowl was scintillating. If you are not a college football fan, I feel bad for you, son. I don't know what you're doing with your life. This was the second best college football game I have ever seen. Number 1 is USC Texas. Number 2 was Oklahoma against Georgia. I got to give so many props here to both teams, but in particular, Georgia. How many teams out there with a true freshman quarterback on the road in the Rose Bowl would have come back against the number 1 offense in America once they were already down nearly 17 points at that situation? Guys, Kirby Smart's got the best recruiting class in the nation coming in next year. More importantly, he's got a team that believes in him so much that they dominated that second half. They held Oklahoma's offense to 1 touchdown and 1 field goal in an entire second half plus 2 overtimes. They gave up 10 points. Now, Oklahoma scooped and scored on a Sony Michel fumble, but the actual performance of the Georgia football team was phenomenal. Just out of this world defensively in the second half. That's what I expected the first half to look like. I think, frankly, Georgia was just overwhelmed at the magnitude of the game. The fact that Kirby Smart could get everything corrected and that his team could come out and play like they did in the second half and that they could win was a testament to what he did. It was also a testament to Lincoln Riley getting a case of the tight ass. He had an opportunity to win this game. 3rd and 3 with about 3 minutes to play. 3 minutes to play, he's there with an opportunity with the Heisman Trophy quarterback to get a first down and basically start to ice the game. What play does he pull out of that little sheet of paper that he had all his plays written down on? He pulls out an option play with Baker Mayfield to the short side of the field. It's the dumbest decision that I have seen in a long time coming. That was an awful decision. And because of that, It made absolutely no sense that he ever ran that. And also, then he followed it up in overtime. In overtime, he had an opportunity to win the game after they held Georgia to a field goal, and instead he ran the ball on 3rd and short, refused to go for it, and 4th down, and as a result, he ended up with a losing situation. I think that Lincoln Riley has a gunslinger team and a gunslinger quarterback, and he had an opportunity to call, what did he could have called? Helicopter dick plays, and instead he called mosquito dick plays. When an opportunity to come swinging in the helicopter dick and just wipe out everybody in front of him, he went with the mosquito dick. And a mosquito dick ain't going to win a championship. And as a result, guess who won? Georgia advancing. That's going to be one of the most difficult tickets in the history of college football. I will be doing my show live, Outkick the Coverage, Monday and Tuesday in Atlanta. Should be a lot of fun. Hopefully it's going to be a public setting. I'm not sure. I don't know the details on it yet. But I will be down in Atlanta for the show Monday and Tuesday. Cannot wait. But to me, as good as Georgia played, Lincoln Riley got tight. He went mosquito dick when he should have gone helicopter dick. And the result is an all SEC affair. Now, there's a lot of little mosquito dicks running around saying, the SEC only has 2 good teams. Hey, you're wrong, all right? Unless you believe that the NFL for the last 12 years has consistently drafted more SEC players than any other team. Unless you believe that, the SEC is the best league top to bottom. It's the best up top, and it's the best down bottom, which is what top to bottom means. I'm telling you right now, we had my guy Todd Furman do an SEC versus Big Ten 1-14 challenge, and the SEC was favored in 10 of those games. Even going head-to-head this year, the greatest year in the history of the Big Ten and bowls, the Big Ten went 1-1. Jim Harbaugh, the most overrated coach in college football, got his dick kicked in by Will Muschamp in South Carolina. And on top of that, as if it were not enough, the only win the Big Ten got over the SEC was a failed 2-point conversion by 7-5 Kentucky against 9-3 Northwestern. That, my friends, is not something to write home about. The Big Ten took advantage of the Pac-12, which was not very good. In actual games that mattered, it didn't have any. All right, so that is the playoff picture. We did a 3-hour show on it today, this morning on Outkick the Coverage. I'd encourage you to go download the podcast, as millions of you are doing, and make sure that you are listening. We talked about it a great deal. A couple of other things in the playoffs. If I am LSU, I am nervous as all get out about the trajectory of the program under Ed Orgeron. I don't feel good at all. If you watched any of that game against Notre Dame, I think every single week right now, LSU gets a little bit worse. And that's because Ed Orgeron was the wrong hire for them for head coach. Moreover, on top of that, by the way, this guy seems like he's a cunt. And you know, I can sometimes tell you're a cunt if you've got a bunch of different, like, random numbers right after you. If you can't even come up with an actual name, you're a troll account. Like if you're Jimmy G 5678436, you're a troll account. You're a cunt. You don't deserve to have actual comments, all right? So you're dead. But here's the deal. Coach O, not in good shape. LSU, if you watched Georgia play and you watched Alabama play and you are an LSU fan and you sat around and thought anything other than, oh my God, our program is doomed, then you, my friend, are totally wrong. Your program is doomed as long as Coach O is there. That's the truth. And moreover, on top of that, I also starting to have some questions about what exactly is going on in kind of the larger context at Auburn. I don't get the Gus bus. I totally understand why everybody's like, I don't really want to be on the Gus bus, and I also don't want the Gus bus to leave. Gus Malzahn right now for Auburn is the equivalent of a girl that you can't decide whether she's a 6.5 or an 8. Like the 6.5 or like the 5.5 to 6.5 range, you're like, I'm not that really interested in her. Gus Malzahn is like the girl that looks different. Remember the Seinfeld episode where the girl looks completely different depending on the light? Like in some light, you're like, my God, this girl is beautiful. And then in other light, you're like, ooh, this is an ugly chick. That's Gus Malzahn. That is Gus Malzahn at Auburn to a T. Everything that happened in that game against Central Florida was Gus Malzahn in a game personified. You think for a minute when they get up 20-13, oh yeah, we're about to blow them out. Jarrett Stidham and co. This is a real team that can win a national championship next year. And then somehow you just choke it all away. I don't get it, but I don't know how Gus Malzahn is worth $7 million a year. I'm kind of circling back around on that. It's rare that I've ever been a guy who said, you know what, that's too much money. I think Auburn should have said to Gus Malzahn, okay, if Arkansas is willing to pay you $7 million a year, Arkansas can have you. I really do, the more I think about it. Because it's not that I think that Gus Malzahn is a bad coach. It's just that I think he's the ugly girl in the light. I don't know what he actually is able to be accomplished, in the grand scheme of things. And so I think, $7 million a year, I don't think he's a $7 million a year coach. I think Auburn probably could have gone and gotten somebody for a lot less money that would have been more successful. I really do. Now, we'll see. The Central Florida game, I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, this proves that Auburn is somehow a lot worse than Central Florida. I said on my radio show on Monday, I said the reason I'm not betting this game is Auburn is more skilled and more talented and should win by double digits. But this is the 5th most important game Auburn has played since Halloween, right? Whereas this game for Central Florida, these players will all be talking about it to their grandkids. That's how much it mattered to them. We're going to talk about this game to our grandkids. And so as a result, I wasn't going to touch it. And I do think, and I've been on this for a long time, what we need is an 8-team playoff. I think it's bad for Central Florida that Central Florida doesn't get an opportunity to do anything other than go 13-0. I think they deserve the right to make the playoff. What we need to do, I've been on this for a long time, but I'm going to keep beating the drum until it happens. All 5 conference champs are in, 2 wild cards, and 1, the best team from the non-Power 5 major conferences. All 8 of them, roll them out, and you will be very happy with the result. First 4 seeds host their quarterfinal round on campus in campus stadium venues. Then the semifinals like they exist now. Play those first quarterfinal round mid-December. Then you have the semifinal, and then you have the title game. For everybody out there who says it's too many games, they do it already in every other level of football, and the kids manage to survive just fine. There aren't that many of them playing in it. I think it would make total sense. By the way, I said this on Jocks this morning. Can you imagine if I had told you in September, I know exactly how the college football title game is going to look. It's going to be Georgia against Alabama. But before that happens, Auburn is first going to beat each team by double digits. There you go. Greatest home field advantage of all time, perhaps. Okay, let's get to the 2 other big stories off the top here. ESPN is lying about why John Skipper was fired. He was not fired for substance addiction. If you read my site over the weekend, you know that one of our crew got pictures of the former ESPN president, John Skipper, out drinking with Dan Le Batard. Now, I'm not an expert on addiction. I understand that you can be addicted to, say, cocaine and not addicted to alcohol. But if you resigned from your job as the president of ESPN 11 days before, and if during that resignation you said you were going to seek help for addiction, and if you were Dan Le Batard and you went on your show and you cried about your friend John Skipper's personal addiction, would you then take him out for martinis, Beefeater Gin martinis in Winston-Salem, North Carolina? Would that be a decision that you would make? Is that something that a good friend who was crying over his friend's addiction would do? I'd tell you no. If your friend gets fired because of his alcohol issues or his substance addiction issues, and then you take him out and give him more of those substances to be addicted to, you are an awful friend. Moreover, you are a hypocrite for crying about said addiction on the radio. The reason why John Skipper is out was not substance addiction. As I told you back then, ESPN/Disney, Disney/ESPN could not have fired John Skipper for substance addiction. That is a disease. He would deserve the right to get healthy. If John Skipper's doing blow in his corporate suite bathroom every day, if he's good at his job, then Disney needs to get him healthy. They don't need to kick him to the curb and fire him because he's addicted to some substance. What happened there was John Skipper got fired and ESPN lied about why. It's disgraceful, but if we've learned anything at all, it's that ESPN always lies. They are liars. And what's also funny is this used to bother me, seeing everybody run from giving me credit over breaking this story. Everybody reads it. I can go look at the amount of site traffic that we do instantaneously when my stories go out. It's funny to me how people are like, oh, I can't share that from Outkick. I can't share that from Clay Travis. Meanwhile, millions of your asses are all reading it and sharing it with each other privately. The truth of the matter is this. I've been right about everything that I've said about ESPN so far. I'm right about this too. And everybody knows it, even if they refuse to give me any credit for it. Fortunately, I'm not the kind of guy who looks for attention. I let good work stand on its own. I don't climb on a pedestal and demand attention. I don't stand in a crowded street, scream, look at me, look at me. Not my kind of thing. Not my kind of thing. I'm more reserved. I'm more quiet, less of a show me kind of guy, less of a pay attention to me kind of guy. It's not me. I'm not the kind of guy that has anything to say. And people like this, some of you are cunts, all right? Coley Bama says, no source on any of this. First of all, I don't know why you need me to name you a source. The source is me, motherfucker. If you trust me, I'm the source, okay? People talk to me. That is the truth, all right? Everybody out there like, who are the sources on these? Motherfucker, I'm the source. Am I right or am I right? If you follow my show, am I just about always right about every story that I tell you, particularly when it comes to ESPN? So everybody out there like, well, who's your source? Motherfucker, it's me. I'm the source. I talk to people. If you don't believe me, then get the fuck out of here. I am the source, all right? I know things. People talk to me, all right? If you saw my text message list on a day-to-day basis, you would lose your damn mind, all right? If you saw my call log, you would lose your mind. Trust me or don't trust me, I'm the motherfucking source. I am impeccable. People are talking to me and they are telling me things, and most of the time I can tell whether they're telling the truth or not, which is why I break everything, especially if it has to do with ESPN. So if you have an issue with me or with my sourcing, get the fuck out of here, because I'm right about everything. Again, let me repeat this slowly for everybody out there. I am the source, motherfuckers. All right? You want to know who's telling you something? It's me, this guy. Losers. All right. So the John Skipper story is 100% true. They are lying about why he was fired. Okay. Additionally, what else did I have to talk about here? How about what we pulled off in New Orleans? All right. Honest truth. I got back from Michigan, where, by the way, minus 10 degrees. I don't know how people live north in the winter. I don't. I love Michigan in the summer. I'm going to go up there. I just told my wife, I said, we're never going there in the winter again. Everybody has colds. Everybody's sick. It's absolutely miserable. It makes no sense. We are not going to be there. Okay? Not going to do it anymore. It is a disaster. Okay? Love it in the summer. It's beautiful. It is, somebody just said it's Hoth. It is Hoth in the winter. It was minus 10. I've had a cold for like 40 consecutive days because my kids just keep getting sick, everything else, all right? I can't stand it. So I don't understand how people do it. It's miserable, all right? But while I'm up there, I leave my wife behind, the kids go ski. I come back down here. Friday, I get down here. I break the story about John Skipper and ESPN. And then on Saturday morning, I wake up and I just puke my guts out. I spend the whole day in the bed Saturday watching games. Then I spend all day Sunday watching games. I spend all day Monday watching games. No joke. I got back to the Outkick Mansion on Friday afternoon. I have not left this house. It is now Tuesday afternoon, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I've been here 5 days by myself. I haven't even left the house. Haven't left the house at all. I've barely done anything other than watch football. It's been phenomenal, okay? Simple truth is this. I'm sitting on New Year's Eve. I did a show on Monday because I never stop working. We did a New Year's Day show, okay? New Year's Day show, but New Year's Eve. So I'm sitting by myself, sitting in front of my television like a real baller, just eating my turkey and cheese sandwich, having my Mountain Dew, nice little side of cheddar and sour cream potato chips. Baller living. I'm telling you this right now. In the Outkick Mansion all day, all by myself. Phone starts blowing up. Turns out that our good friend Brooke Boobs Baldwin has been in New Orleans in a bar, and she's told Don Lemon that she has bigger balls than he does. So the woman who was upset that I said I believed in the First Amendment and boobs is telling another man live on television that she has bigger balls than he does. And so I suddenly have a light bulb go off. I'm like, and then as part of that interview, she says, should we go talk to people in the bar? And a light bulb goes off in my head. And I think, wait a minute. They're in a bar in New Orleans. We have thousands, tens of thousands probably, maybe hundreds of thousands of Outkick fans who are Bama, Clemson fans, or just in New Orleans that are there for the game. I bet we can get one of these Outkick crew onto CNN during their New Year's Eve live edition. And so I go on Twitter and I offer $10,000 to somebody who can tell Brooke Baldwin to her face that they love boobs. All right. And so then I think, you know what? I'll double it if we can get a woman to do it. All right. I said that would be incredible if we could get a woman to say it instead. So I start thinking to myself, you know what? This is a good idea. I offer $10,000. I tell people where they are. If you want to go hear the story from the couple who pulled it off, you need to get down to the show. Is there anybody, go listen to the show. Is there anybody who hasn't heard that clip yet? Is there anybody right now on Facebook or on Periscope who has not seen this clip yet? Because it's absolutely phenomenal. If you have not seen it, I will pull it up for you. And you can, some of you haven't seen it? Oh my God. Oh my God. What are you guys doing with your lives? Oh my God. This is unbelievable. All right. So I'm going to play this for you. I'm going to try to pull it up on YouTube. Let's see if this works. All right, here it is. Can you guys hear it? Hold on. We got a disaster going on here. All right, I got to get everything set up here. All right, here we go.
Special. Really so special. Andy and Anderson, you have to give us a little time. We won't cut into your New Year's Eve time, trust us. But we want to introduce you. Hey, come Dustin. Here to this guy. What's your name?
My name's Dustin.
Dustin, we understand you have something special.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, well, come on. Hey, come here.
And your girlfriend in the red. Beautiful. Hi. Where are you from?
Atlanta.
Yeah, I'm an Atlanta girl.
Let's do it.
Marissa, I love you. And will you marry me?
She said yes. She said yes.
I love food. Be the
Oh, he went to Jared.
That is pretty fantastic. So she said, I love boobs, BOOBS, live on CNN. You can go watch the video. Outkick taking over CNN. I got my revenge on Boobs Baldwin. Absolutely dunked on her and her cohort there, Don Lemon. And I am paying the lovely couple for what they pulled off. They get 20 grand. And I have now said, challenge out there to everybody. If you can get I Love Boobs and Outkick onto CNN at any point this year, I will give you $1,000. If you can get I Love Boobs and Outkick onto Brooke Baldwin CNN show, I will give you $2,000. Make it happen, Outkick. This is our year-long challenge to continue to make CNN pay for being a bunch of pussies. I love all of you. Happy 2018. Back live tomorrow, 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern on Outkick the Coverage. I am Clay Travis. This is Outkick the show. DBAP, boys and girls. I'll see y'all tomorrow.